Hi, I'm John Billingsley, and you are listening to Beyond Trek podcast.
What are some thoughts of yours towards the whole, is Star Trek getting too woke?
The idea that a show that exists to push the boundaries in terms of what is acceptable and what it should be like just part of our human condition, which is, everybody on the fucking ship, as long as you're nice. To me, it's like you can't be too woke.
On a red alert.
I don't know about you guys, but we should get rid of daylight savings time. Why do we have it? It makes no sense whatsoever. Because now, here's what happens is you get around 5:14, 5:17 in the evening, and then boom, dark. Just gets dark fast.
It's because of the sun lobby. The sun is literally lobbying us so that it can keep more of its sunlight. That's really all this is about.
It's got to be, which is ridiculous. You know what I was doing the other day? So, got done with work, got outside as quickly as I could, got on the riding mower. I'm flying around on this thing like a fool, trying to get the grass cut as quick as I could because I knew it was going to get dark. So I get done with that, and I figure, I've got a little bit of sunlight left. Let me do the edging real quick. Well, I get halfway through the edging, and it's pitch freaking black outside. So here I am in the dark, edging the lawn, trying to get a good sense for where I'm at, which is not too hard because I grew up right here at this home, so I'm familiar with the yard. I needed one of those miner lamps, lamp with a light on it.
They sell those at Walmart now. They have them for dog walkers and such too.
Well, yeah, I know they have it. It's just I could have used it then, so people would drive by and be like, "Who the hell's this jackass with a lamp light on, edging the grass?" Me.
This is why I live on a starship. No daylight savings. Don't need it. We have 80,000 suns. Why do we need to follow just one?
Hey, Dag, you've been on the low side. We can't hear you. Yell. Speak loudly, my son.
I don't want to yell. Maybe I'll just be louder.
Yeah. There's that. I've never taken you for one that's a quiet talker, unless you're trying to read me a bedtime story, or maybe not.
I don't know what to do about that.
Hey, this is Beyond Trek
Tell
podcast.
people about the bedtime stories, Jay. We haven't even released the ASMR channel yet.
Oh no, we haven't. Do we need an ASMR channel? I think so.
I don't know.
I mean, you've got a great voice for radio, BigJ.
Me? I should do that. I should start recording nighttime readings or something.
Just read the phone book really close to the mic and be like, "Hey everybody, how you doing today? Tonight we're gonna listen to some really good stuff. It's gonna be Dag on the radio talking about nothing."
Well, hey, this is Beyond Trek podcast, right? I'm BigJ, here with Dag and Renzo on this wonderful, very nice Sunday. Not weather's crap, and so this is another Sunday, our virtual TrekCon. And what are we going to talk about today? 3 grown men talking about a Nickelodeon cartoon. So for those of us watching and for those in our chat group, thank you so much for coming. Hope you guys are ready to start talking cartoons. I can't remember the last time I watched anything on Nickelodeon. Probably since the Ren and Stimpy days.
I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender while it was airing, legitimately.
Because I was there with Korra too.
Yeah, Korra as well. That's true.
Airbender, 100%. And I think those are really cool shows to preface Prodigy, because Prodigy has a lot of these elements in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really digging the beginning of these stories for these characters. So buckle up, because if you haven't seen Prodigy, you should probably go watch it before you watch the rest of this. But we're live, so you don't have a choice. We're going to be spoiling everything you need to know about the first 4 episodes of Star Trek Prodigy.
If you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the episode and then watch us on a VOD and on YouTube later.
Yeah, that works too.
Come back to the replay.
Stay in chat. We need the numbers.
So what do you guys think of this cartoon? Should we call it a cartoon? Because Lower Decks is an animated series. To me, this is a cartoon. Am I wrong on that?
I don't see the distinction. I don't really care.
I'm more interested in what's happening because like my all eyes are on Doll right now with like what's going on. But let's talk about what Prodigy is first.
Yeah.
If you're brand new to Prodigy, joining us live, Star Trek Prodigy is, to summarize, a group of kidnapped kids break free from the grasp of this evil villain named the Diviner. They eventually find and steal this Federation starship called the USS Protostar. It's a test bed Federation starship, and the Diviner really, really wants this ship. We don't know why yet. Through hijinks and learning, the protagonists, all these characters that we'll talk about, will discover how to work together and continue to foil said villains. And we want everybody to know that the great author, producer, writer, David Mack was a consultant for the first 20 episodes of Prodigy. And we just interviewed him yesterday to talk about the third book in the Star Trek Coda trilogy. That's going to come out on November 30th. But right now, I just want to know one thing. Who is your favorite character in Prodigy so far? And why?
Ooh, well, before I or any of us mentions that, almost forgot to say, later on in this episode, if you guys all want to hang around a little bit later as we get towards the end, we're going to put up the phone number for the Beyond Track hotline so that the folks that are either watching or in our live chat right now can call in, talk to us about their impressions of Prodigy. So we're going to have our chat line open up later on. So I'm trying to think character-wise. Skip me real quick. Let's put Renzo on the spot.
Sure. So I really like Hollow Janeway's interaction with Rock Talk. It's helped develop Rock Talk as a character for me because it's kind of hard to use emotional cues from like a giant garnet boulder, right? Which is essentially what she is. But the interactions between the two of them show that Rock Talk like literally remembers nothing before her slavery on Tarzal Mora. So it's I want to know more about her. She's my favorite character. I want to know where she comes from. I want to know more about the Brakar, her people. That's what I want more.
You know that Brakar had been introduced in Star Trek previously?
I did. They are quite big in the novel series, actually. A character named Zach Kebron was a security officer on the USS Excalibur, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was Peter David's New Frontier series. So it's cool to see a lot of those deeper digs into, the other universes, the Litverse. We get some STO stuff. It's really nice.
And it's not just a similarity in name only, because the Brakar in the book were also like giant hulking rock people. And he specifically mentions that they go through a lot of changes in their physical development. So if there's any sort of like difference in appearances between what's in the books and what's on screen now, they've already explained the why in the original book. So no retcon needed.
You guys must do a lot of reading.
Yeah, I like to read a lot.
I mean, I think the last time I sat and read a Star Trek book was probably
last week.
No, early 2000s.
Yesterday.
The Coda series, I've got the audiobook because the audiobook is the only way I would even have a chance of getting through it. I'm just not a sit down, read a book kind of person. I might get through a page or two, and then immediately I'm thinking there's probably something else I should be doing right now. So audio is the way to go. So, character for me. That's tough. If I had to name any, and I didn't catch her name, the one that's got kind of the Visage Ventress vibe. Gwen. Okay. Did I say her name right? I know it's Ventress, or you know from Star Wars.
That's the Star Wars character. Yeah.
I said her full name in this last episode, but I didn't write it down.
Oh, gotcha. So yeah, I would have to say she seems to be the one that's going to be kind of the mystery character. You know, where's her allegiance kind of thing. So that's what I'm going to be keeping my eye on.
And yours is 0. Let me guess.
Mine?
Yeah, you didn't say yours.
How did you know?
I mean, it's just a guess.
I mean, it's true. I'm very interested in this Medusa, why they're here, what they're trying to do. as the deeper fans that we know we are, it's like, how do we have this combination of some deltas, some nu, some beta quadrant species all wrapped up in this one ship? And what is this Medusan doing here? How'd they get here? What's their goal? What's their aim? They're the person we know the least about, but they're also telepathic. So they're like just diving into everybody else's head.
Yeah.
And we don't know anything about them. I need to know.
Well, so we don't know anything about any of the characters' origins, really, any of them except for Jenkum Pog, the Tellarite of the team. He's
Right.
the engineer. We know that he came from a Tellarite sleeper ship. We don't know how long ago that was launched. We don't know where it came from exactly. We just know it's a Tellarite sleeper ship, which means probably a very slow, long journey to the Delta.
Why are
Probably-
I mean, that begs an unanswered question. Why would the Tellarites sending sleeper ships out? Or maybe it's like
Maybe it's a
ancient-
couple centuries old. Yeah.
No, you could be right there.
Well, it's the same reason how conveniently a Cardassian torpedo ended up in the Delta.
Well, we know that
Quadrant.
got there through the Caretaker's array as well. We know
Right.
that much, right? But a sleeper ship is like designed to take centuries to get anywhere, basically. So I don't think that one has anything to do with the Caretaker. That's just my guess, though. We don't.
Oh no,
know yet.
it doesn't. I'm just making the comparison about things that mysteriously show up in the Delta Quadrant, because we are in the Delta Quadrant was what I picked up from this series. Yes. Okay. I'm glad we're
Yeah.
back in the Delta Quadrant. To me, that's pretty cool, because so much Star Trek happens in the Alpha and Beta quadrants. Not a whole lot in Gamma. A little bit in Delta with Voyager. And I'm not counting all the books and everything, because that's not canon. But it's good that we're back in the Delta Quadrant and not with the series that abandoned its premise after the first episode. So that's just me talking about Voyager.
I'm still creeped out by Dreadnought. I think Dreadnought
Yeah.
is one of the most terrifying villains we've ever seen in any Star Trek. Like, just physical terror. The appearance is freaking scary.
He reminds me a lot of baddies from video games, right? Like the villains in like one of the Doom games. He reminds me of. He reminds me of some of the baddies from Elite Force. Like his whole like spider with shooting guns on the sides, like just feels straight out of a video game, and I love it.
Well, what are we going to talk about in this show? I can tell you, I'm not a huge cartoon watcher. I wasn't sure what we were going to... As I'm watching this, I'm comparing it to, and I shouldn't be, but thinking about Lower Decks as I'm watching it. And Lower Decks is certainly geared as an animated series towards the older audience, like us. Packed with all kinds of references and Easter eggs that we would catch and we would understand. And then I watch Prodigy, and I know it's directed at kids. I know the age group they're looking for is like 7 to 4 or 5 or 6 to 11 or 12 is the audience they're looking for, and it kind of feels like that. Like it feels like we just got to get from point A to point B. We've got the phasers, we've got the tricorders, we've got a ship, but there's not much that they're deep diving into, which I can understand that. If you're doing a cartoon for kids, they're not going to catch or understand if they get too deep in all of like the stuff that Lower Decks did. You know what I mean?
No, I disagree so wholeheartedly. I mean, I can't even, right? So for me, the thing that Prodigy is trying to do is trying to go back to that TOS style moral story.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super complicated because it's meant for kids, sure. But TOS also, by modern standards, did not have complicated stories. It gave you a morality tale with here's a problem, here's how you approach it, here's what's wrong with your original approach, here's how you can rethink it, and here's how you fix it, right? And that's what we've seen in the 3 episodes, 4, whatever, that we've seen of Prodigy so far. And I think that they're holding true to that pretty solidly. As far as like Star Trek references and complexity, the fact that we have a Medusan is incredible, right? The fact that they're pulling stuff like the vehicle printer, vehicle replicator, is a fantastic thing to fill in canon, right? How did Voyager keep losing shuttles? Oh, they must have had a vehicle printer. Well, why didn't they use it more? Because it sucks up a lot of energy, guys. You can't use it every day, but you use it when you need it, right? It's filling in canon pretty well for me. Even the whole concept of the emergency command hologram being turned into like a training hologram for cadets, or Badgie being turned into a training hologram for cadets, makes perfect sense and is being used here. I don't know. I'm really enjoying the show, but I do enjoy cartoons. I'll still watch anime like every day. When I find an episode or some show that I like, I will go. I rewatched Avatar: The Last Airbender just last year just because I wanted to binge it again.
Oh,
I've got Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra, and Cal has Voltron Legendary Defender on
Voltron.
Blu-ray, and we're not talking about the old Voltron.
The new Voltron.
The Netflix one.
Yeah, the new Voltron is awesome, and I love, Renzo, that you kind of mentioned that this has those vibes, because I'm all about the interpersonal relationships, and we all know, like, okay, these characters are going to figure it out eventually, and the payoff is when they do that. It's very much like in those first episodes of the first season of Voltron. They didn't even form Voltron until like the 6th episode or something like that. Way later. And so everybody who's like, where's Voltron? Where's Voltron? Where's Voltron? The payoff comes. You just have to enjoy the relationships, the dynamics. There's going to be betrayals. There's the rough spots where they're trying to figure it out. Gwen, definitely torn. Wants to be a decent person, but keeps being told that has to do other stuff. And, she's torn between her loyalty. And Dahl is like, I finally got the freedom that I've been wanting to taste my whole life. I'm not going to do anything anybody else says, but you have to figure out how to work on a team. So that's Dahl's challenge. Jankum Pog, we don't know a whole lot about him yet, other than he's just sort of, comedy kind of person-ish. But we're going to learn about him, and he's going to have that moment of vulnerability where he shares something that means more than what we know about him now. And then when we finally figure out a translator that can speak Murph, it's going to be brilliant. Zero's backstory, I'm totally waiting for that. And then, of course, everybody super hoping that we go back for the Cation Kid, because we have to go back for the Cation Kid.
And we know she's Cation, by the way, because of the subtitles that literally said "speaking Cation."
I know.
So
not just other cat person, but actually Cation.
Helps to make it obvious.
Which then, goes into the weird things. There was a Kazon that handed over the Cation, and we know the Kazon are really like deep Delta Quadrant species, but Cations are Beta Quadrants. So how did these come together? What's happening there? And you know what? It's also, because it is kind of a kid show, maybe there's not an answer there, and I'm not really going to lose my mind if I don't get closure on that.
I do think they're going to go back for the Cation, though. I think you're right. I think that's going to be Gwen's Zuko episode, essentially. It's where she's going to go off, maybe taking Dao or Zero or something, or the whole team goes, but they're going to rescue her and maybe liberate the entirety of Tars Lamora, if they can find it, because it's now cloaked. It's also the biggest thing we've ever seen cloaked in all of Star Trek, as far as I think of.
Well, Dag, you were talking about the Kazon handing over the Cation. So there was this comment here in our chat from Jesse Taggart. Delta Quadrant is a quarter of the galaxy and could be closer to the Beta Quadrant, like where Ambassador Neelix stays at the mining colony, likely promoting the Federation's influence to the Delta Quadrant. But the thing was, there is the Kazon were more of the, if you're looking at it, you've got Alpha Quadrant, Beta, Gamma, Delta. But Voyager popped up in more of the kind of upper
Delta Gamma border.
No, the other, like the other end, the border to nothing in the Delta Quadrant. Because
it's just the point that the Kazon are way out there.
Right, they're way up, so
they're near this border. So how did we get Kazon there? Kind of
right.
The galaxy's really big, right? Like
on that.
Star Trek is really bad about remembering how fucking big the galaxy is.
Yes, it is.
Right? Every sci-fi is bad about this.
It's the size that the plot needs it to be.
No, it's smaller than the plot needs it to be most of the time. Even we're just bad about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the area that's the Alpha and Beta Quadrants have literally millions of planets that are habitable, just based on the numbers, right? You could find a new race every single episode that has nothing like anything we've ever seen before, and still stay in the Alpha Quadrant.
Is it that
It's
many?
a luxury. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's like a quadrillion stars in the galaxy, but
I can't wrap my head
everything
around
you
it.
need to know about Star
That's the
Trek
thing.
takes place in like this little dime-sized spot in the border between the Alpha and Beta quadrants.
Yeah, when the Federation brags about having 150 member races, that's member races. That's not total planets, but even that is pretty tiny.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to have an existential crisis just trying to think
You should.
about how unbelievably massive. My head's going to explode. Can't
No,
And you're so
it's-
tiny. We're all so tiny in the scheme of things.
Yes. You know what I like to look at? Have you ever looked at one of those, like the size of things websites where they
yeah,
start
those
down
are-
at
yeah.
the,
It shows you like here's
plank
your Earth, and then
length.
20
Yeah.
minutes later, here's the biggest star, and Earth isn't even on the map anymore.
No, the sun isn't even on the map anymore at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sun was long gone off that
Yep.
map.
Oh man, and you know, there's something to be said about the animation for this show. I'm feeling
Great.
some. I mean, I really like it, but I'm also like getting some stop motion vibes. Are you seeing that when you watch it? Do you feel that? Like, I don't think
In
it's bad.
Gwyn's
I think
fight
it's kind of cool.
scenes, in Gwyn's fight scenes, yes, especially when she's doing things with her sword nanite shield thing. Definitely some stop motion-y feels to things, which is neat.
Yeah,
but yeah,
because that's like accidental. They're designing and rendering these to give us a little bit of that that stutter that you get from stop motion, which I really appreciate.
I don't think I
And-
picked up that. Sorry to cut you off there. I didn't. I think maybe I was distracted by why does the protostar have Kelvin timeline warp nacelles on it? But maybe we shouldn't go there. I'll leave it alone.
I'm more interested
I
in
mean,
why the thing has 2 warp cores and only one of them can take him to warp 9.9. And what the hell is the other thing that's in the middle?
Well, that's what we'll find out when they finally activate that third nacelle that they're teasing in the intro
intro.
montage.
It's the nitro. You know how you have the nitro in your racing car?
Nitro,
That's what it's
yes.
the nitro.
There's going to be a Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel cameo.
Well, it's a show about family. These guys are forming a family.
Where is Vin Diesel? The
Well, they went
protostar-
to space in the last Fast and the Furious.
Oh
Might as
my
well show
God.
up now.
Oh Jesus, you're
Oh,
right. I saw that
jeez.
one. It's like, are you kidding me? Okay, sorry. This is not the
So-
Beyond Fast and Furious podcast.
We mentioned the intro montage, and I really like that the ship is flying around little avatars of the characters. You know, as you can see here, you know, the protostar is right there, sort of surfing along this avatar of holographic Janeway's face. It's a really cool way to say we're on the ship. It's expansive. It's beautiful. The graphics are really just popping, but also it's about these specific people. And I just thought that was really cool.
So I love the music that they made for this too. It has just enough notes of existing Star Trek music while it still sounds pretty fresh. And I think that the score for the whole show overall is different than anything we've seen in Star Trek before. It uses between scene music the same way that TNG did, but it's using a different orchestra almost, right? It really has vibes for me of Star Wars, specifically the original Star Wars movies, the original trilogy. Right? It reminds me so much with the musical cues, and I quite like it because this is the more rough and tumble story. This isn't like a clean Federation ship where everybody's doing okay and it's the utopian universe. No. These are kids escaping unspeakable terror and horror and slavery. This requires a bit more of a rough and tumble audio track, and I think they've done it really well.
And I think it was Michael Giacchino that composed it.
I think he only composed the intro. I'm not sure he composed everything.
That's probably true. But for those of you,
But, yeah,
Michael
Giacchino's amazing.
Giacchino did all 3 of the Kelvinverse films.
Tell me-
Composed
And
the
Up.
music for.
Amazing score that
And
he did.
Up. Okay.
Yeah, I
Started
love
out with
it.
balloons, went to spaceships. Got it.
So tell me, I'm gonna have to listen to the intro again. I've listened to it for every episode, and I don't know why. And I'm sure the audience, the chat pack, may all disagree with me. You guys might also think I'm crazy, but for some reason, I get kind of this like subliminal Stargate SG-1 type beats in the intro. For some reason, it always makes me think of that. Now, are you guys familiar with that show, the intro to it?
Yeah.
Very much.
Am I
It's
crazy?
very
Is
action,
there?
or I mean, the intro to Stargate 1 spells out what that show is all about. We're going to a whole bunch of different worlds, and we're fighting a lot of bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there is a bit of that here too.
Okay.
I gotta look up who wrote that actually.
Which
I don't
one?
know, but I just picked up the metal version from Captain Meatshield. Oh man, yeah. So I mean, you said the Protostar has some Kelvin vibes to it, but what I was just picking up from
Yeah.
it was like a much more organic construction flow of the ship. I was really hoping for that third nacelle to pop out in the first episode, but like forming Voltron, we
Yep.
have to wait a little while to see what that's all about.
Wait for the payoff.
But yeah, but I mean, even when they were stealing it, and Dahl was on top trying to get the shield generator thing into the ship, and he pops it in right as that robot jumps, and then the robot hits the shield, and you're like, yes, protected.
Gripe.
And they bunk out of there.
Small gripe about that.
Okay.
A system as crucial as the shields should not be something that you have to service on the outside. I get if it's in a space dock, sure, but why would they think that this would never need to be done when the ship is in motion? I know that it was for the scene, it was for the action, etc., but I'm not buying that. A prototype that's got the shield fixie thingy on the outside? Forget that. I'm not going out there to fix it.
But the shield emitters have to be on the outside of the ship. And if the shield emitters are going to be out there, you're going to have to service them. And you might as well have auxiliary and primary power sources adjacent to those emitters. And it's not like anybody was like, oh, by the way, let's figure out how to replace these things while we're being chased by murder robot in the middle of an escape while it's flying. No, you're going to be in space dock with a spacesuit, and you're going to have all the time in the world to pop these barrels back in there. Just don't be Worf, because we know how Worf is with
even
barrels.
So, right? It doesn't even have to be in space dock. The thing can land on planets, as it demonstrates in the third or fourth episode, right? This thing could have been serviced on the surface somewhere.
But what if it
has a ski?
What if it has to be done? What if it has to be done in space? That's what I'm saying is, what are they going to do?
Turn on the shields, fill it with air, go outside, do the
no,
job.
But like add impulse or warp or something. No, I mean like under duress.
So if you're at warp, first of all, if you're at warp, you've got a warp bubble around the ship. All the inertia in that warp bubble is relative to the ship. So you could literally walk out there during warp and do the thing on a spacewalk.
Well, right.
Don't be Worf, because it gave him a queasy stomach.
It's not the ship that's moving when you're at warp. It's
It's the space around the ship.
Okay.
And so you've got that.
Yep. War dog time actually makes a good point too, right? This may not be a component that normally fails. This thing had been stuck inside of this geode of a planetoid for who knows how long. Which I want to point out is another thing that reminds me from this show of the Voltron Legendary Defender show. The look of planets in Legendary Defender was sometimes very non-normal astronomy looking, right? Like they were flattened discs. There was like a bulge in the middle.
Or like
Cars
that were like twisted out or crushed, and just like no. In normal gravity, those things would collapse back to a sphere. But
look at Tars Lamora.
This show.
Look at Tars Lamora. Looks just like them.
Yes, it does. Do we know? Does anybody in the audience know if the animators or even like the science consultants for Prodigy are working on this show too? Because we're getting a lot of those similar vibes, but maybe it's also just formulaic. Like, let's move away and take some risks about the way the show looks so that it has this really unique aesthetic to it.
Well, it doesn't have to be more eye-catching for the younger audience, because don't they tune more into the visuals and the graphics of things? So I would think that they are putting a knowledgeable effort into that and not so much deep dialogue. It's kind of a mix. Like you want the...
It depends on the age of the audience. You probably have some kids who are like 10, 11 years old who are like really into the characters.
Right.
And then their little siblings are going, ooh, pretty, because the art's cool. And that'll draw those kids into that story as they watch with their family members.
Okay.
But if you're an adult, you're probably just like, man, I remember when Gumby was a thing, and now we have Prodigy.
Oh my God!
So
you had to say that.
I looked it up. The animation studio doesn't line up with Legendary Defender at all. No similarity there.
Because Legendary Defender was DreamWorks.
No, Studio Mir.
Oh, was it?
DreamWorks is a production company. Studio Mir did the actual animation.
Correcto.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Nickelodeon Animation Studio and CBSI Animation Productions do all the effects for Prodigy.
Well, I wonder if they grabbed some people from
Studio Mir is in
those
Seoul.
other places.
The Nickelodeon studio is in Los Angeles. It's possible, but yeah, Seoul, Korea.
Seoul, Korea. Right on. I mean, we have likened this show to Voltron Legendary Defender, Avatar The Last Airbender. Renzo, when this show first started coming out, when we did our Picard Prodigy preview, however many months ago that was, you mentioned that there was another Nickelodeon show that was a lot like this. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so in my childhood, like when I was 9 or 10 years old, there was a TV show that came out called Space Cases. the premise was there's this academy for students in space. It's part of their like Starfleet Academy equivalent, except it's their high school and middle school equivalent. And a ship docks there, and it's empty, it's derelict, it looks biological, nobody knows what the hell it is. And these kids have said that they want to go check it out. This like group of students that is, you know, not top tier students, they're kind of middle rung or bottom level students, and they just kind of go inside, try and play with it, and the thing detaches and it launches them into space at speeds they can't even comprehend. And now they're lost with a robot and with two of their teachers in the middle of nowhere, and they're just trying to get home, right? It's very Lost in Space. Each one of the people on the ship is of a different alien race, so no two are like the same. One has a little antenna that he can shoot lightning from. Another one can yell and melt metal, right? So it's like definitely a kid show. It was live action. It was quite entertaining, and it had George Takei as the main villain in it.
No
so
way.
It was, he was a big reptilian dude whose name I can't remember, but it was a fun show.
What do you guys think about this? This is a great observation by, now I think I'm going to get it wrong, Galinda B. You have to put it phonetically in the chat. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. But says this is less of a kid show than it is a family show. So that's a good point. Okay, so it's not so much that they expect kids to be sitting there watching it alone, but something that you can do with your family as a Trek fan if you've got kids that you want to get introduced to this, because that's the whole point.
They're doing this already.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the point with Prodigy, is to get them in young while they're.
You know what I would love to do?
What's that?
What I would love to do is, if you're in the audience listening to this and your parents, like, get your kids' first takes, like record little videos of them, post them to, if you want to post them to Twitter and tag us, and we'll include those in a future episode to get like the cadet review. Your kids are the cadets. They're experiencing Star Trek for the very first time. Let's capture that and see that energy from them. I think that would be great.
I would love to see it if our audience put up videos like that we can put together in kind of like a
cadet montage.
What's the thing? A montage. Jeez Louise. Yeah, a montage, because I would really like to hear what kids think of this, like an actual that age group. It would be awesome.
So there's a couple other shows I want to call out that Prodigy itself is a lot like, that were also family shows in their time, right? So the original Lost in Space, definitely a family Lost in Space, deep in space, all on their own, just traveling around, solving problems with moral lessons every episode.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Exactly. And the robot too, right? Like this was a whole thing. So I think that there's definitely some homage to it there. But the one I really, really want to point out is Farscape, which is a late 90s, early 2000s show that was on Sci-Fi.
Yes.
Yeah, one of my favorites too. So the premise is this: a human gets shot through a wormhole to somewhere else, right? And he's finds himself on a ship with a bunch of aliens that can't talk to each other's, don't understand each other very well. They don't like each other. They're prisoners and they're trying to escape. And they're being chased, and they end up with a prisoner who is related to the baddies that they then have to convert and bring her to their side. There's a lot of similarities between Farscape and Prodigy, and that just makes me excited.
Yeah, it is. You know what else I kind of get from this just a little bit? And Glenda, thank you for putting that phonetically in there. That's great. Now I won't butcher it. But Firefly, maybe kind of, sort of, a little bit. To me, it
definitely has that frontier feel.
Well, I think when you think about it honestly, you could probably take any show that had any kind of ragtag group in a ship going somewhere. So maybe that's too easy when you say, sure, it's some Farscape, it's some Firefly, it's this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, but the first time any character in Prodigy says, "I'm a leaf on the wind, watch how I soar," I'm turning the TV off. I don't want to know what happens next.
Yeah,
no,
I don't want to
know.
Bad memories. Too
Not
soon.
gonna know at all.
I like Firefly, but I'm not the biggest Firefly fan. Like, I don't think that it's the greatest sci-fi that was ever made or anything like that.
You watch your words.
I'll fight you. I'll fight them.
I'll fight you
here for it.
What's your address? I just want to talk. I
You
just
know
want
where
to
I
talk.
live.
This is a Star Trek podcast. We can talk about the Firefly podcast.
But he's
another
talking
time.
smack.
Nope, I hadn't even gotten to talking smack yet. I'd only gotten started. What I was going to say was Firefly was great about building a crew out of people that we didn't really understand, but gave them each some character as we went, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping Prodigy does the same thing. I just hope Prodigy doesn't suffer from the same problem of Firefly, of taking itself too seriously some episodes and then forgetting that it's ever serious the next episode. The tone shifts that go on in Firefly were like distracting for me.
Right.
So,
In War Dog
pick a
Heim, you're
tone.
right. It's a stretch. I tried to kind of back it up a little bit as I was going there. But yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
And you also had a good point about Crichton. Poor Crichton. Farscape always getting his ass handed to him.
I respect Firefly for what it was, but for as little sci-fi as it was, I can't put it very high on my list of like top sci-fi anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Oh my
I
God.
missed Firefly until after Enterprise was gone, and then I got into Firefly. Between Firefly and Doctor Who, it got me through the Darth between the end of Enterprise and the beginning of Discovery. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, so as far as just a show overall, I would say that it's drawing from great sources. It's pulling ideas from good places. It's feeling very sci-fi. Like that second episode where they're falling into the white dwarf that's stripping the layers off of a red dwarf.
Oh, yeah.
That's very sci-fi concept. That's something that was done a little bit in TNG. We see Voyager in its intro montage fly through that essentially. So like it's got references even in Trek for it, which is nice.
Something that's really cool contrast is that episode kind of goes back to that Lower Decks episode that aired earlier where they were trying to teach that one Hollow teacher a lesson. So like,
The
we're
separate
falling
body parts lady.
Yeah, we're falling into the black hole. Oh no. And then as soon as the teacher's like, all right, I screwed up, I'm sorry. Then Freeman's just like, okay, we're fine. And Rutherford immediately corrects the ship. And that's the juxtaposition between what a well-trained, well-honed Starfleet crew can do in a Cerritos, in a California-class ship versus this top-edge protostar with a bunch of kids and a hologram. That it was very easy in Lower Decks, and it was very difficult in Prodigy.
Experience matters, supposedly.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
the fact that these kids were even able somehow intuitively to get the ship moving, find the weapons, just hit all the buttons so you get the pew, pew, pew. And I like that part because you know what one of my big gripes is about Star Trek is how like any character can come across any alien console or ship and kind of look it over a little bit, and suddenly they're operating it. I just am not a big fan of that whole thing because for me, if I sit in a vehicle that I've never driven before, I'm probably going to end up gunning it right away because you don't know how sensitive the gas pedal is. I can't find the button for the rear windshield wipers. None of it. And that's if it was an American car. If the steering wheel's on that other side, forget about it. All bets are off. But Picard is going to sit in a Riemann fighter and suddenly he knows how to pilot it.
Data was there too. Data
didn't know the language either.
Yes, he did.
It took him a while.
It took him a minute, but
yeah.
But still,
cool.
You know what I'm saying? If I
I do.
end up
I do.
If I end up in front of a console that's in French, I'm like, we're gonna die. We're dead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from, but I feel like
Much
things
less
like
an alien
replicators-
language. Yeah.
I feel like things like replicators and tricorders kind of resolve some of those concerns for us, right? Like if you can scan up a console with your tricorder and it translates stuff for you or explains like the functions, like it can translate and explain the function of a system for you, right? Whenever
Right.
they're on these alien consoles, they're always scanning it with a tricorder too before they start pushing buttons, unless they're 7 of 9 or Data because crazy.
Well, Okay. All right. I mean,
think,
that
I
doesn't
wanna
to
spin
totally
off
get rid of my
into-
gripe, but it helps relax. It
I'm
just a
glad I
little.
helped a little.
Thank you.
I want to spin off into this thought that I was having while I was watching it. As an instructional designer, I often have moments where it's like, wow, I used to know how to, I know how to do this really well, and I can't remember what it was like to try and learn how to do this. And so I'm training people and I'm taking very discrete notes so I can be like, oh, they're asking these kinds of questions. Those are easy questions now because I've been doing it so long. Anyway, what's it like to watch Prodigy as an adult who may or may not be on the other side of a lot of these learning arcs and a lot of these experience arcs? These are kids. They're from nowhere. They don't know how to do anything. And, you know, it's easy for us to see, you know, Doll as this
Impulsive,
unlearned,
petulant kid.
right. Yeah, it's easy for us to see that. But, you know, whether or not we're the target audience, the payoff comes from on this side of the coin to see that arc mature. And if you're a kid, it's probably, if Doll's your favorite character, then it's probably to go along with Doll on that ride and recognize that, you know, inevitably Doll's going to fail, but he's going to get picked back up. He's going to be surrounded by people that give him that second chance. And that's like solid relationship building that kids can, you know, see really good examples of on shows like this.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really good point, right? Like the show is morality tales. It also demonstrates good behavior from people, right? Like they face adversity and then they overcome it. Like that is something you want your kids to see, and you want to see kids doing it for kids. So that makes sense to me.
100%. And that's just why you know, we have a little document that we put together to be like, what are we going to talk about for this live? And the headline for that section was, how we know we're too old for a kids show, to which Renzo said,
speak for yourself. I don't think that this is entirely a kid show. I think that the point that was made earlier in the chat that it's a family show is legit, right? I'm sure that there are going to be storylines here that adults will get, but the kids will just gloss over. And I think my favorite of those is Hollow Janeway and her calling the crew cadets. She says it with a tone that I think that the Hollow Janeway realizes that these are not cadets because they don't know what the Federation is. They don't know what Starfleet is. They don't know Starboard. These are not cadets. But she's playing along and treating them like Hollow Nanny and helping them survive, helping raise them, essentially, saving them. I think that's something that's implied, and I don't think kids are expected to get it.
Well, think about it. If you get... I'm sorry, Dad, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to spin off of Hollow Janeway there, I think Janeway's like primary mission is to keep Protostar intact. And so she realizes these are the assets that she has, and she has to speak to them on their level. And she might even have like the EMH, you know, basic program underneath all of those layers.
Her bedside manner is way better.
Well, okay, but he had like 7 years in space to figure that part out too.
Well, what I was going to say is, when you're talking about wanting to introduce your children to Star Trek, what choices and options do you have out there when you're thinking, all right, I would like to get my child hooked on this and to like it, and you kind of only have that one chance. It's like, okay, what episode or what movie do I do that with? And for me, with my son Nacho, I took him to see Star Trek 2009. At that point, he was like 4.5, and got him introduced to Star Trek. Yeah. Started young. He's a big fan. He's hit me with some hypothetical questions about stuff in Trek that I didn't even think about. As a movie, yeah, he might have been, well. But the thing is, with those movies, they were built to be the flashy Star Wars like fast-paced action. So yeah, that was great. Like you wouldn't want to introduce someone new to Star Trek and have their first experience be to watch The Final Frontier. Nah, that's not going to work.
I'm with you. It also is a bad idea to introduce people nowadays with the original series. And I had this happen recently. Where it's not a kid. I don't have kids, but I had a friend of mine who'd never watched Star Trek, and I was like, well, I want to introduce you to it. I think we can do it in this order. And he's like, you don't want me watching the original series first? No, because you know how every episode ends. You may not have seen the episodes, but you're going to know how it ends because their plot lines have been reused by everything so many times that you can guess it. They reuse plot lines from the original series in Spongebob Squarepants, in Fairly Odd Parents, right? Like
really?
1-to-1 copies of the plots. Yeah.
Holy shit.
So yeah, and I think that's amazing. It's why there are so many tropes that started because of TOS. So starting somebody with TOS is probably boring. So I don't want to start there.
Please tell me that none of these cartoons took the plot from Code of Honor. Please.
Well, I was talking TOS, not TNG.
Okay, that's right. That's
Spock's
right.
brain.
Spock's brain.
Spock's brain is definitely in a bunch of cartoons.
No, well, yeah, that belongs in a cartoon. That was a cartoony kind of plot.
What is brains?
Right there with you. But yeah, so I introduced him starting with Enterprise because I thought that doing it, the effects were sharp enough and new enough that it wouldn't bug him. The storylines were generally treated as like you don't know anything when you're watching this, with a couple exceptions like Regeneration. But for the most part, it worked out really well. He's now a huge Star Trek fan. He watches Prodigy, so
okay,
he's a caught up boy at this point.
Well, okay, so you mentioned Enterprise. Was that that was the choice then because that was what was on TV? No, this was before Discovery, right?
This is like 2 years ago, so I had them all on Blu-ray.
Wow, I wouldn't have thought Enterprise being the introduction, but hey. I mean, that
was the trade. I watched all of Doctor Who. He watched all of Star Trek. It wasn't a fair trade, but blame him for that, not me.
Okay, so do we have who's in charge of the chat here? Trek fan. I love Spock's brain. Where's the boot? Where's the boot button?
No, people are allowed to know what they
Spock's
want.
brain it's ridiculous.
And it's still lovable.
If his brain was taken out, why did he still have his eyes attached?
BigJ,
this isn't a
people are
TOS
allowed to be
episode.
I know that. Well, you started it.
People are allowed to be wrong, BigJ. Be nice.
I'm trying. I'm using my words.
They can be their wrong and their wrongness on Mount Wrong. It's fine.
People are allowed to love Star Trek however they want, man.
I'm not trying to gatekeep. You're right.
Everybody on the ship, as long as you're nice. That's what we say, right?
I'm trying not to gatekeep. I'm trying not to be a Star Trek fan. I'm sorry.
Hey, if all else fails in your interactions, just ask yourself WWRD. What would Rock Talk do? Rock Talk would give you hugs. They might be like scrapey, abrasive hugs, but they're still hugs.
Yeah, I'm actually with Galinda. I think that she's right. I think that the concept of IDIC is a very good way to introduce people to Trek, right? Yeah. Like, start with something that is super, super inclusive, and you'll find something that they'll like. I think Voyage Home is a good movie to start people with.
Oh, yes.
Though I usually don't. I usually start with the trilogy. I'll do Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and then Voyage Home. Treat it as a trilogy, and we're good. That's
because it is.
You can go on from there. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I think that that's a decent way to do it by movies. Yeah, it's tough to do the motion picture if you don't already enjoy Trek because it's slow.
The motion picture was very much a movie of its time. Besides Star Wars, which broke the shell of science fiction, Star Wars the motion picture was very much what sci-fi was like then.
Yeah, it was Space 2001 and such. Yeah, no,
yes.
I get it. It's very much a picture of its time. I'm just saying, like, trying to get somebody into Star Trek now with it is gonna be rough because of the slowness. Yeah, so
that's also what IDIC means. IDIC is saying there isn't one general solution for everybody. You're not gonna, and not everybody's gonna pick the same favorite episode, not everybody is gonna have the same entry point that they're gonna appreciate. You might show somebody the motion picture and they'll be like, "This is amazing," and then they tune out somewhere in, I don't know, like season 5 of Voyager, where you get 4 or 6 super actiony episodes in a row, and they're like, this isn't my jam. Whereas you have other people who are like, these 6 episodes are amazing. Why did you make me watch the motion picture first? I mean, it's just your entry point, your appreciation point will vary, and I love it.
Agreed.
Well, I think for the families, for the young ones, Prodigy makes it a pretty good choice to start them young with.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to grab those Avatar vibes, those Korra vibes, those Voltron vibes, and it's going to give new Star Trek viewers the ability to follow along with these characters and watch them grow into wherever the show takes them. And I think, I don't know, maybe aspirations on my end, it's like, oh, they end up in the Federation and everything's hunky-dory happy. I don't really want that to happen, even though my brain's trying to get me to go there. But
I think we'd have to understand why Dahl doesn't want that first. Like, we have to explore their backgrounds here and understand why Dahl is terrified of the idea of the Federation the way he is, to the point where Zero didn't even want to probe any further. So
Yeah, I want to know what that's all about. And another great observation from Trek fan, knowing the person, knowing something about the person also helps, because you can get that vibe as to what to match up Star Trek with them, or at least have a better idea
absolutely.
of what to show this person. And that kind of guides there. If you don't know that person well enough and you're just trying to guess, that can make it more complicated. So yeah,
Well, that was another reason why I picked Enterprise, right? The trade that I did was Doctor Who for Star Trek. So I know that he likes episodic TV that has kind of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly plots that sometimes only make sense at the end, right? Which Enterprise has a fair number of, and it has the whole temporal Cold War aspect, which I thought might be engaging. Then we realized that he hated the intro soundtrack so much that he wanted to...
That's why your choice was brave for anything.
We watched it on Netflix, so we just skipped the intro every time. We were fine with it. But the first time I made him watch it, he's like, this is terrible. What the fuck is Star Trek? So it was pretty bad.
That's why when you said Enterprise, I was just like, oh, that's brave choice. And it was just because of that song. But in all fairness, when I did my rewatch of Enterprise, I made myself just go ahead and go through. It's a long road and all of that. And believe it or not, I actually got to where when they changed it, I appreciated the original more after they changed it, because it was ridiculous. Now they changed it in the 4th season?
Third. First two have the same one. Third and fourth have the different one.
Right. So you take the darkest, bleakest, most terrifying season and use an upbeat song to it. Like, okay, whoever made that decision needs to be fired.
Okay, so going back to Prodigy, right? So
that's what we're talking about. Sorry.
We've talked about the starships a bit. I wanted to bring up a small point about the Diviner's ship. So it's called Rev 12. We only hear him say the name like once, and we do get a pretty decent look at it. Anybody who's read through the Star Trek Excalibur books, the same ones that we talked about where the Brakar come from, the baddies in that series, or one of the baddies in that series, is a group called the Redeemers of Xant, Xant. They are a religious fundamentalist cult that believe that they have to spread their religion as an affront to their god so that he is reborn to tell them what they're doing wrong. It's like, we want to piss off our own god so he comes back to fix us because we want him to come back. That's their religion, essentially, right? And their ships are described as being giant pyramids with articulating arms that sometimes spread out to capture Federation ships.
Ooh.
Sounds a lot like the Diviner's ship to me.
Scary.
Yeah, they're not good people. They're not good people at all. They're the kind of they have this shtick where they will send out a prophet onto a planet who says convert or die, and if they don't convert, he kills himself and spreads a viral plague that wipes out all life on the planet.
What the?
Yeah, they're not good people. But yeah, there's definitely some overlap with the Diviner versus the Redeemers, and they have prophets and such. So yeah, there's might be more connections there too with the Redeemers of Xant and the Diviner and the Vaunakat, which we don't know anything about the Vaunakat at all.
And you thought you had problems when those religious people come knocking on your door to hand you a pamphlet.
Tuvix doesn't like them either. He barks at them a lot.
Oh yeah? Will you show us Tuvix sometime? I miss Tuvix. I haven't seen him in a few episodes.
It's his birthday and he's napping right now. I don't want to wake him up.
Oh, okay, he's napping.
He is passed out on the couch after a hard day of chasing other dogs.
What'd you give him? You guys drinking?
No, we just got. So I went to the dog park just before the episode, or before the podcast.
He got a nice, good run.
He's a good boy. How old is he now?
He is 1.
1. Okay, I thought so.
Oh my gosh, he's still a baby boy.
What Star Trek are you going to introduce your dog to?
A meta moment in Prodigy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first Star Trek without a human main character, and we really, really get to take advantage of the animated format to show off these very alien designs, alien worlds, alien backgrounds. I just think that, a lot of people who may have, really liked the aesthetic of, the sort of sterile aesthetic of a Federation starship, they're going to get something a lot different from the aesthetics of this show. And it's because, again, animation has the ability to free up production from the constraints of makeup and CG in a live action format.
Notable though, the look of the inside of the Protostar is a little different than other Federation ships we've seen too. Like, it looks honestly to me more like the Normandy SR1 from the first Mass Effect game. Just the wider hallways, the blackened sections, the kind of trapezoidal shape of things, which is great. I like the Normandy. I like the look of this ship, so I have no complaints on that one.
You like it so much you threw your microphone across the table.
A little bit. I talk with my hands. I'm Hispanic. I can't help it. But yeah, so it happens. But yeah, no, I like the design. I think it's pretty cool, but it isn't very standard Federation-y, and it even doesn't look at all like how the Cerritos does as a California class. It's in an animated format. It just looks a little different.
You know what it really gives me the vibe of? Like a test, like an American aircraft, like a Concorde or a Blackbird. It's got that very test feel to it.
Just a reminder, the Concorde was not an American aircraft. It was British French.
I'm a jackass. I'm an American jackass, but I don't know how to say that in French. So if you know how to say it in French, just
Je
post it in
suis
chat.
un jackass. I don't know.
Je suis un frambois.
Well, we could catch what you were laying down about it
Yeah,
being
no,
a
I
prototype.
get it. Yeah, it definitely is a prototype. It definitely has that, like, this is still not finished kind of look to it.
Right.
But the Defiant was also a prototype. It was an NX class as well, or an NX ship as well. And it definitely looked more done than this. But that might just be because Cisco is getting it as an actual ship for use.
Oh, that's
Right,
a good
but
point.
Cisco helped design that ship too.
True.
Okay, I was just looking at I've got a bigger picture of the ship here because I'm going to make sure they got the registry right. It is an NX. So it's
Yeah.
Honestly,
NX
to me,
something.
it looks like an evolution of the Nova class. Like,
Yes.
it's really neat. It's got the articulating warp nacelles that we see go down in the intro. That's new. I like it a lot. But yeah, I like the design. It's pretty neat. The fact that it is meant for long range, almost solitary exploration with a pretty small crew, cool. And it's fast, apparently. So
Is that what it's meant for, though?
Why would you send such a... I thought Voyager was small for something like... Well, they weren't supposed to end up in the Delta Quadrant.
Voyager
But-
is small.
Yeah, but I would think that if the Protostar was meant as a long-range exploration vessel, that you wouldn't want to send something small. You don't want to send a gigantic ship. Or, I mean, maybe you do. You know, you'd have more room, more provisions, whatever. But why a small one? Why would you... This looks more like a
Because of the
ship that you
speed.
send out scouting.
because of the speed, right? If this thing can go to the Delta Quadrant and back in like a week, if you go there, you find something you don't have the people for, you go home, you bring them back, and then you come back to your mission, right?
Ooh.
If it's as fast as this thing is supposedly is, like with Quantum Slipstream or something,
Yep.
it's going to go back and forth to Federation space in like a couple times a week kind of thing.
You think so?
We'll definitely find out as Star Trek Prodigy continues.
Yes.
We are coming up on that.
One small point on that before
I
we do
wanted
that.
to do that too, but you can.
I was just going to say that Captain or the Hollow Janeway even goes, "Do you want me to lay in a course of Federation space?" Like it's a trivial thing. Like, oh, we'll lay in the course and be there. It's not a 70-year journey anymore. So
Yeah.
I think there's definitely an implication that it's a lot faster.
No,
Sorry,
that's a
Dad.
really
Go
good
ahead.
point.
No, it's an inside
No.
joke for her. She's laughing like you want to set a court for Federation Space.
Sipping her coffee as
Yeah.
she goes.
You
Oh,
guys
man.
we're gonna learn you.
That was the sassiest hologram movement in Star Trek. Prove me wrong. When she just like created a hollow cup of coffee and drank that, like you're a hologram. You don't need that, and you did it
Dag.
anyway. I love
Grab
you.
the badgie. Grab the badgie. That's still more sassy than that.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the audience know Star Trek Prodigy is going to be taking a break after its 5th episode, and we're going to be getting all of Star Trek Discovery Season 4, and then Star Trek Prodigy, the final half of the season, will be airing after Discovery.
Really?
Yeah, that's the way that the producers have published it. But also, we just learned yesterday that it looks like Prodigy is getting another 20-episode second season order. So,
But they're being split up differently from what we learned from David Mack. Like
from the second season, yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
not even just that. He said that they were going to treat the second season that was just confirmed as a third season because this first 20-episode run is being split into 2 seasons, he said.
That is true. That is very
Right.
true. There's going to be like that Legend of Korra feel where it airs for a year, but you get 2 very distinct stories out of that. And I'm very much wondering if this 5th episode is going to end on like an urgent cliffhanger. And then the kids who are watching are going to have to learn, just like I did that fateful summer of 1990 when Riker said fire, that you don't get to see what happens for 3 months as you wait for the series to come back.
Still have PTSD from that.
It's been 30 years. If you want to talk to me about it, you can take up my therapy hours.
I'll use it. Do they take Anthem? So I just put up the number for the Beyond Trek hotline, 513-279-2344. Would love to hear from you if anyone would like to call and talk to us about the show today in Prodigy. So that's 513-279-2344. So real quick, I thought the intention the whole time with Prodigy and Discovery was to have them go concurrently. If Prodigy's going to be
like no.
Yep. But why wouldn't they do that? Because Discovery's going to be a 13, 12 to 13, 14 episode season. If Prodigy is a kid show, which it is, kid show, family show, why would you suddenly put
BigJ,
14
you've
weeks?
You've made this argument like 20 times.
But I don't remember. I'm old.
You said
break. What
genre overwhelmer, overload of like Star Trek overload, whatever you called it, right? And there's too much of it.
Yeah.
You've made this argument so many times. It's that they're probably just afraid to overwhelm people with too much Trek at once.
So what you're saying is that this is what I argued for, and I got it, and I'm still complaining.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't know. I can't help it. I don't know where I
was just going to be here and say, like, I think they're doing this because because Star Trek is so popular that if they had two shows running side by side, we would just crash Paramount servers.
Right. Well, it was that franchise fatigue is what I was worried about.
That's the word you used.
Yeah, franchise fatigue.
I got you.
Notable though, the first episode of Prodigy, when it went live, the servers of Paramount were definitely struggling to keep up.
Wow.
So that's definitely a good sign as far as people watching the show.
Wow, that is awesome. Now, I'm going to mute myself here. It looks like this is weird. I don't know why. I get a voicemail, but suddenly the phone didn't even ring. So let me listen to this.
Somebody tried to call us,
and
it just didn't do the thing.
No, didn't do the thing. So if you know who
Linda,
you were,
I am with you. I also miss real TV seasons. 26 episode seasons. Bring them the fuck back, please.
Right. Okay. But let's talk. I mean, if we're going to do that, we have to talk about production costs. The reason we could have 26 episode seasons is because we could afford 26 episode seasons. I was watching TNG. TNG gets you 44, 45 minutes without commercial. Enterprise only gets you 42. The original Star Trek got you 55, 56. So the production costs are eating into all of that. And I think they're choosing to spend those money on those 13 episode seasons to get full quality.
You're right in all points. No disagreements. Those are all very relevant things. I just think we should sell off an aircraft carrier or two and nationalize Star Trek and fund it properly.
Star Trek on PBS? You have my attention, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Just give it more money. I have no complaints about it. Just give it more money.
Can you tell us how to get to the Alpha Quadrant?
Listen, Star Trek has never had a musical episode, and I'm in for it. I'm here. Buffy managed to do it, and it was amazing. Do it for Star Trek too.
Yes.
You know what happened? I somehow unlinked my phone from the thingy. That's why it didn't ring. So let's play this voicemail. Yeah, I know I messed up. Hold on a minute.
Broke the thing. There's so many people who are trying to call us right now.
I was just called in to talk about Prodigy. But I will try again later.
So if that was you, please call us back again. Sorry, BigJ had a technical mess up moment. So that's why, So
I think you need to get your Hollow Janeway to fix your technical problems.
I can have one technical mistake a year. That was the one.
Computer, run a level 1 diagnostic on the comm system, please.
So it's 513-279-2344.
I think a musical episode of Lower Decks would be perfect.
A musical
episode of Lower Decks, yes.
But make it so that they're mandated to sing somehow.
So Q fucks with them. You must sing. You can't not sing, kind of thing, right? That's what they did in the Buffy episode. It was a devil that was just making everybody sing.
There's never
Or
been a
they're
musical episode, right?
They're hunted by a species that is attracted to neutral tones, so they all have to speak melodically in order to get through that species space. That would be beautiful. I would love
A
that.
Herojan musician is hunting them, kind of thing.
Oh, Jesse just said Jesse just said they left a second voicemail. It's not coming through, Jay.
I'm sorry about that. It's. I mean, the thing's linked.
Jay, you
now.
broke all the things.
You gotta be watching it when the call comes in.
I've got my eye right here. Like I see the thing. Oh, you know what I probably did? No, I don't think I blocked the Google Voice number. That'd be stupid. Well, there's been so many telemarketing calls and all that. Dag, you call it. Let's see if this.
I'm not going to call it because I don't have my phone near me. But I was asked in
You
chat.
don't have your phone near you?
If the communicator works. So I'm going to hope I don't blow out the speakers, but give me some bandwidth here to push some buttons, okay?
I think I heard it.
It makes a little noise.
Jesse, so sorry.
it works here.
Well, that's your old-fashioned communicator.
Ooh, the Bluetooth one.
I was not expecting that to happen.
Wait, War Dogheim, you have the Bluetooth version of this? Because that's an expensive piece there.
There's a Bluetooth version of the Star
There's
Trek
a
communicator?
Bluetooth version of the Badgecom, and there's a Bluetooth version of this, but the only one that I can find like $600 on eBay, and I'm not going to pay $600 for a phone. Wait a second. I paid $600 for my cell phone. All right, let's think about this a little bit harder. Let's think about this for a second. All right, Jay. I'm going to call you and see if the thing is working.
Okay, yeah.
513-279-2344.
Yeah, tell me what in the world happens there. Maybe it takes a little bit to reconnect.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Are we now the Beyond Princess Bride?
Beyond
Beyond Princess Bride podcast?
Yeah, we're good there. Hey, look there. It's ringing.
Yeah. So maybe you hang up on me?
Yeah,
okay,
I hung up on you. Gonna get some weird echo there if I kept talking.
Oh, yeah. So I guess apparently it's decided to work now after this thing failed me, embarrassed me. You have failed your city.
You got to share that kind of link, man. Like you can't make us that hungry for it and then not tell us where you got it.
Want to see some other cool props? This is a 3D printed tricorder dice case.
I like that one.
What's amazing about it?
I want to 3D print a phaser.
Custom dice.
Nice.
Little Star Trek logo that I made for my wedding. I got married on Halloween. It was amazing.
Dag, show them the coaster.
Oh, the Boldly Wander coaster? I don't have one near me. If only somebody listening to this podcast could bring me one. Nope, not yet. We have a 10-second lag. Oh, well, see, Renzo has one of the coasters, so that's cool. Yeah, I made those. It's super good. It was just chef's kiss. They came out great once I figured out how to do it.
Very pretty coasters.
They're very pretty coasters.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anything else? Are we gonna wrap this up? And sorry,
unless anybody has any more notes about the show.
Yeah, what's your favorite part of Prodigy so far? And we can totally talk about that. And hey, look at that! I have a fan that brought me one of my coasters, and it's sort of reflecting the monitors.
I want to see. Happy. The thing I'm most excited for is I want to see where each of the characters falls into a role. I don't think Gwen's going to be the leader. I think it's going to be Dal. I think we're supposed to be like a maturation story for Dal, and then Gwen is somehow going to be like his angel on his shoulder, trying to steer him in better direction. I think that's kind of how that's going to go.
I was getting a more relaxed vibe between them, kind of like Aang and Zuko.
I was thinking it was going to be more like Aang and Sokka.
Really?
Yeah, because Sokka was the real leader of the group. He's the one who made all the plans and came up with all the ideas. But Aang was the leader, even if Sokka was the brains. But yeah, so that's what I'm excited for. And I really want to know what it is that the diviner is actually doing. Is he precognition to what is he doing? Like what is his end game? And we'll figure that out for sure.
Here we go. So I'm gonna call. No, I'm gonna call back. I was just thinking. Yeah, I will.
Jesse posted their question in chat too.
Jesse, was that was
Jesse?
Hello, Jesse.
Yes.
Hey, sorry about that. It's BigJ with Beyond Trek podcast, I figured, well, I'll just call back. I'll just call out because for whatever reason, the Google Voice number didn't reattach to my phone because I'm a jackass, and must have taken a little bit of time to do that because now it worked for Dag. So tell us what you think about first 4 episodes of Prodigy.
I've really been enjoying them. I'm I grew up with Next Generation, and so Wesley I connected with, and then Jake in Deep Space Nine. Then Voyager was the first series I watched first run, and then eventually Naomi and all the kids. So I'm loving Prodigy's introduction, and especially with Janeway. And I hope that she introduces Rock Talk to the Adventures of Flutter.
Oh,
Yes.
man. Yes.
Adventures of Modern Rocco.
What a thought. That's amazing. I would love that.
Yeah, Rock Talk meeting. Well, do they even have a holodeck? We don't know. The ship may not have one.
Well, they have holograms.
Yeah.
They have hologram emitters. So they
same as the
totally
Prometheus did, right? The Prometheus
Right.
had the holo doctors that just walked around the whole ship, but we don't know if it had a holodeck. But yeah, no, that's a cool idea. Seeing Flutter and the tree dude interact with Rock Talk might be really fun.
Oh, yeah.
So Jesse, what's your opinion on where to start a new fan for Star Trek?
I'm gonna have to go with Enterprise. Start at the beginning of the canon timeline.
With Enterprise, okay. It's not a bad place to start if you go the route of starting in canon. Instead, it's a prequel, but start start with that. So, all right, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's like going back to episode 1 to introduce somebody to Star Wars.
True. Oh, but here's I want to watch it this way. Have you heard of the Machete Order? Which it's episodes 4, 5, 1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3.
6. You
Yeah,
guys ever
so
heard that
I have
one?
a modified machete order that I do
Uh-huh.
when I'm trying to do this to people. I start them with Rogue One, right?
Yes.
Rogue One leads right into A New Hope. So you do Rogue One, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, 1, 2, 3, Solo, 6,
Whoa,
7, 8, 9.
jeez. Okay, so okay, well, I'll have to talk to you
Solo
about that
because Return of the Jedi has the whole escape scene, the rescue of Han Solo from Jabba's palace, right? So give the guy some backstory.
Oh, yeah.
later. Oh, okay.
The machete order
Jesse-
is only going to get weirder as we move forward. Jesse, you had asked in chat two questions, and I'll ask them both, and we can answer them one at a time. But the first one was, will the young audience have the patience to keep interest as the story is just starting? And the second question was, do you think the show will make the lesson of a morality play come back? And I would like to hope for both. Like, I think as a kid, I got pretty hooked on shows just because that was what was on TV. So if my parents are watching it, then I'm totally going to go for it. Older kids, I hope they have like a routine where it's like wake up in the morning, eat their cereal, and then put Prodigy on.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Jeff.
With like when either the cliffhanger or when they come back, that patience is actually their morality play lesson of the time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that the morality plays are already starting, right? Like the morality play for the second episode, not the pilot two-parter, but the second full episode, was even if you think you know what you're doing, it never hurts to ask for help, right? If you run out of ideas, ask for help. That was the whole lesson for Dal. Reach out to Janeway hologram, ask her. She knows more about this than you do. Ask for help. In the third episode, it's this whole like, under times of adversity, work with people you don't agree with because you need to survive, right? There's morality plays to all of this. So I'm excited for it.
Then that's a good lesson for the young ones because they're going to have to learn that. We all have that sort of innate feeling of this is the thing that I've got to do. I've got to accomplish it myself, and you don't ask for that help, which someone could be thinking in an entirely different direction that you weren't, and suddenly you've got a solution out of that.
Yeah, it's part of it, right?
Like we
multiple
saw with
perspectives.
Cindy and Rutherford in season 2.
Yep, it's a very Idic thing, right?
To kind of take that lesson.
I'm sorry. What's the lesson with Tendi and Rutherford?
Yeah, with Tandy and Rutherford, and then Mariner and Jet in season 2 when they were on the artifact ship.
Yeah.
You know, how to take ideas from everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of it, I would say, right? Where you have to like listen to opinions and totally different perspectives than your own.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you very much, Jesse, for the insight. We appreciate it. And thank you so much for calling. Sorry about that little technical issue, but it's great to hear from you. Thank you so much for calling our hotline and contributing your thoughts to the show. So hope you continue to like Star Trek. Thanks for calling.
There's someone in chat asking a question there that I want to definitely point out. There's someone named Laude Weddle that asked a really good question about having free time to watch TV before school. I certainly did not. I was waking up, throwing on clothing, and being dropped off at school. So I had no time before school to watch anything. It was luck if I had breakfast.
I think it's funny that you're like, there's someone in chat named Laude Weddle when Laude Weddell is my husband.
Yeah.
That's Cal.
Well, didn't
I'm
know how much you
well
wanted to.
I didn't want to call it out. I just was
I'm
gonna
totally
let
going to
you
do it then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you do it then.
Yeah.
Everybody
And
say hi.
hi. I used to get up at like 5:30 in the morning to watch Tom and Jerry.
5:30 in the morning. I was barely asleep by then.
Not all of us can be the cool night owls you are.
Right. Well,
But
yeah.
without
This
the night
is,
owls, I wouldn't have my midnight Taco Bell run. So I'm all for it.
Well, I would get up early and watch that because they would show Three Stooges episodes at different points during the.
These
Tom and
Stooges,
Jerry's
were you
Funhouse.
born in like the 30s or the 40s?
No, the repeats. I wasn't watching this live. Yeah, hey, I know this one. This is a classic.
They're all
It's a
classics.
repeat.
They're
It's a
all
repeat.
70 years old.
What's a repeat?
What's a rerun?
You're right. What's a
Welcome
rerun?
to the Beyond Back to the Future podcast.
The Beyond Nick at Night podcast.
Ooh, man. Well, hey, we're going to be on for a couple more seconds. If you guys really want to, if you want to call in, I'd love to hear your voices. It's so great interacting with you. War Dog
It
time.
is.
Come on, hit it up. But yeah, so next episode of Prodigy is going to come out next Thursday. So that's only 4 days away if you're listening to this live. If you're not listening to this live on the VOD, then just aim for the date that is supposed to be the 18th of November, 2021. Wasn't Generations released on the 18th of November? Like
It feels
7 years ago, something like
It
that.
feels
I feel
close
like
to
that was
that.
the right day for Star Trek Generations.
You looked that up at some point, didn't you? Just so I don't bother.
Oh, jeez.
Because they
No,
were-
you're right. November 18th, 1994. You got
Holy
it.
shit.
Yeah, right off the top of my head. That's the kind of fan I am.
Well, that was good. That's
Ah.
good recollection. So
Yeah.
in season 4, Discovery is the 25th of November coming up. It's
Yeah, the next week.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah, because you remember Generations, they were filming that like at the same time they were doing the last several episodes of TNG. I don't think it was the whole season that they were doing that, but a good portion of it. Because it was the season 7 of Next Generation ended around like May-ish, 94, and then
Well, they couldn't strike the sets until after Generations was done, anyways.
Right.
True.
So
Yeah.
the way that they did that was the season wrap, the production wrap for TNG was sometime in late February. And then it was March through like July or September that they were doing Generations. And then it was after September that they struck the sets.
gotcha.
You got
And
your
then in
Tuvix sighting if you
November.
wanted.
Oh, there's
Hey, yeah,
Tuvix. Oh, nice Tuvix. Well, see, and for any of you that haven't heard this yet, so Tuvix is Renzo's dog. And at some point here, Renzo's going to split the dog into 2 other dogs, which is the fate of Tuvix. But you're not going to do that. Okay, good.
No, he's too cute.
He's
Besides-
too cute. It's good
He's
because
too
we don't
cute.
want dog that's one cute. But he's 2/3 of a continent away from.
From what?
Wow. I'm reading War Dogheim. War Dogheim's birthday is on the 18th, so congratulations. Your bride will be able to watch Prodigy on the 18th for her birthday.
It's a great way to spend a birthday.
But I'm sorry that you're 2/3 of a continent away. That's so sad. I hope it's for a good reason and good cause.
2/3 Eastern, 2/3 West.
Western, northern, southern.
Are you
planetary.
Australian?
You could be in orbit, like 2/3 of a continent in orbit. It's only like 2,000 miles. That's not very far.
True. Yeah.
How many miles you got in your car? More than
I mean,
2,000?
that's certainly more than the ISS is up, though.
Up in space with Jeff Bezos.
True. It's true.
Jeff
But when you
doesn't even
really,
escape.
when you really want to get away from everybody,
Go to space.
Cool.
oh, I think we have covered our Prodigy
Yeah.
4-episode review. You guys can check us out on VOD. Please check out all our other episodes. Subscribe, like, find us on Twitter at Beyond Trek Pod. And
Special thank yous.
Yep. Our
Of course.
special thank yous. Stephanie Baker is a Patreon and Anchor subscriber. Nora Hickson for Patreon. S. Tam is Patreon as well. As Anne Marie is another Patreon provider. And Jim Cook on Anchor. And we've gotten screen caps here recently from John from Cygnus X1.
For our Lower Decks shows, we used
Yep.
our screen caps from John at the cygnus-x1.net. He's got great timing.
Yep. So thank you, John, for continuing to do that. Thank everyone. And I'd like to thank the chat pack for coming in and spending time with us. It's always great. One of our favorite things to do here. So
Absolutely. We are 100% grateful that you have chosen to go boldly with Beyond Trek Podcast.
all right, everyone take care. Have a nice week.
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your ears. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.